Today I'm going to start a new video series, and I know you're sitting there going, man, you've already started so many of them, you haven't even finished those yet. But we are going to start a new video series, and it's going to be about geography. And I'm going to start with a very crude picture and say, that's the Earth. Now, granted, that's not really the Earth, it's just a great big circle, and I'm calling it the Earth, but first of all, the Earth isn't quite that round. I mean, the Earth is round, but it's not a perfect circle. I will grant you that it's true. Okay? But there are some things about the Earth that are true, and I'm going to use this cat toy here as an illustration. You see this little ball here? We're going to pretend that's the Earth. And the Earth revolves around a thing called the sun. Okay? We're going to say the center part here is the sun. And the Earth revolves around the sun once a year. That's how we get our 365 days. Okay? The Earth revolves around the sun. Now, it never goes backwards. It always goes forward. It always goes round and round and round and round. Just like this. Sort of like a clock. Okay? Now, the Earth has 7 continents. Okay? These are giant land masses. And these land masses float over something called magma. Okay? Every landmass on our planet floats over magma. Okay? And when the magma down below shifts, that's when we start having earthquakes. And our land masses move just a little bit. They don't move a lot, but they move dramatically enough that it shakes the ground, and sometimes the ground opens up, and well, we'll get into that later. The point is that our land masses float on magma, okay? And specifically, they float on tectonic plates, and we'll get into that later. All right? Anyway, for those of us who live, well, I live in the great state of Illinois, but if you live anywhere in the United States, or you live in Canada, and actually if you also live in Mexico, okay, so if you live in Canada, you live in the United States, or you live in Mexico, you live on the North American continent. Now, I know that Mexico calls itself Central America, and that's okay. But Central America is part of the North American continent. Alright? Anything below Mexico, and we're talking about not only Mexico, but all that Central America section. Okay, anything that's below Central America is South America. And the best way to remember South America is to remember the country of Brazil. Now, Brazil is full of rainforests. Rainforests, there are a few of them here in the United States, but they are a lot more plentiful in Brazil. Okay? Now, Brazil is not the only place where you can find rainforests. Certainly on the continent of Africa, you will also find rainforests. Okay? And in Australia, which is yet another continent, you will find rainforests. Okay? So if you go to Australia, or you go to Africa, or you go to South America, you're going to find a buku of rainforests. Alright? Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't rainforests everywhere else. There are places, and I'm sure in at least 6 of our 7 continents, you could find some rainforests somewhere. But they are numerous and plentiful in South America, in Africa, and in Australia. Okay? So, if people in the United States live in the North American continent, and people of Mexico live in the North American continent, and so do the people of Canada, and we now know that the people of Brazil live in the South American continent, as well as the people of Chile, and I will go on with this in the future videos. This is far from being done. Okay, so where do the people live if they live in the countries of Great Britain, which would include Scotland and Denmark and all these other little countries, and Ireland would be another one. Or how about the country of France? Okay, what if people lived in the country of France, or the country of Italy, or the country of Spain? Where would they all be living? Well, they would be living in the continent of Europe. Okay, so if the people of Britain, the people of France, the people of Spain, and the people of Italy are all living in Europe, well, where are the people in the Middle East and in Russia and in China living? Okay, if you're living in Russia, China, or the Middle East, where are you living? You are living in the continent of Asia. Okay, so now we have named several continents. We have named the North American continent, the South American continent, the Europe continent, the Asia continent, the Australian continent, and the African continent. But there are actually 7 continents. So where is this final continent? Well, it's in a very cold place. If you were looking for the South Pole, you would find the 7th and final continent of the world, which is Antarctica. That's right, Antarctica is the 7th continent of the world. Now, I'm going to go into further detail about all this in a future video, but at least now you know where the 7 continents are and what you'll find when you get there. Alright? Like I said, this is far from over, so there'll be more videos about this. Stay tuned.